everyone, and welcome to another edition of Kicking It Classic with JCD. I am your host, John JCD DiMaselli. We are bringing you the show on behalf of the PWP Nation Network. Check out pwpnation.com, facebook.com/PWP Nation, and follow on Twitter at PWP Nation. You could check me out, John JCD DiMaselli, on Twitter at the show, Kicking It Classic with JCD, at KITCWJCD. You can follow the show on Facebook, facebook.com/Kicking It Classic with JCD. And you can email the show at kickingitclassicwithjcd@yahoo.com. On this episode, this is an episode I've been waiting to do for a long time because, man, as a 23-year-old kid, following this on like the early stages of the internet and the IWC and dirt sheets and websites, this one was fun. And I am talking about the ECW heavyweight title shit show controversy from April of 2000. This is going to be one of my favorite episodes to ever do. Let's get it started. Okay, so let's take it back in time, 21 years legal drinking age to let's take it back a little earlier. Let's take it back to February of 2000, and I'm going to explain why this time frame is relevant versus the actual time frame that most people know of. In February of 2000, Mike Awesome was working on like his 5th month as ECW title. He did do a quick trade-off with Masato Tanaka, but at the end of the day, Awesome was ruling ECW as the world heavyweight champion. I'm jumping the gun here. Equally as dominating for 22 months at this point was the multi-time ECW Tag Team Champion and the current ECW Television Champion, Rob Van Dam. And it was becoming inevitable where the ECW title direction had to go to. People were clamoring. You couldn't hold it off any longer. People wanted the match. And in February of 2000 at the ECW Arena, Mike Awesome and Rob Van Dam finally came face to face, and the feud was set to begin. However, Rob Van Dam would suffer a broken leg a few weeks later, forced to vacate the ECW television title, and the feud with Awesome down the drains because it was speculated that Van Dam would be out like 8 to 10 months. It was a bad injury, and there was no way they could just prolong it. They didn't even get to film an angle because the injury happened in a random match. I want to say against Scotty Riggs, who Van Dam was kind of side feuding with at the time. Don't hold me to that. No, I'm sorry. He wasn't feuding with Riggs yet. I'm sorry. It was, I want to say Sabu, because Sabu had turned on Van Dam during that segment with Awesome. So, you want to talk about a feud, you want to talk about an angle, you want to talk about a series of matches that could really print money for a company. Van Dam versus Awesome was going to be it. Now, with that off the table, now, working without a contract on a handshake agreement with money owed to you per se, as per Mike Awesome at the time, doesn't look as attractive. So, the way the story goes is, and there's Mike Awesome's side, there's Paul Heyman's side, there's the truth. Well, we don't really know the truth, but knowing how business was ran in ECW with Paul Heyman, you could probably figure it out. Awesome claims his contract had expired, and they were working on like a handshake verbal agreement. Awesome was content. He was the champion, and like I said, it looked like this money feud with Van Dam was on the horizon. Awesome claims he was owed a ton of back pay from Heyman, which is not impossible, which is not crazy to believe, because Paul Heyman and managing money are two things that do not go together. They go as good as, let's see, Baron Corbin and being popular, Roman Reigns in 2015 and 16 being accepted by the fans. It just doesn't go together. So you could kind of believe what Awesome was saying. Enter Eric Bischoff. That's why anyone who says, no, Bischoff wasn't cutthroat, Bischoff wasn't this, wasn't that, is clearly mistaken, because here comes Eric Bischoff, and Eric Bischoff makes Mike Awesome a very lucrative offer, which Awesome accepts. Awesome is set to debut on the New Blood show for Nitro on April 10th. Word of this gets out, because now you have to understand, we've talked about on this show periods of time where the internet was not what it is today. It wasn't even a quarter what it is today. But in 2000, WCW actually had their own show. There were several websites out there. You were able to get news a little more easier than you were, let's say, 5 years earlier in 96, when we've talked about shows during that era. So word gets out that Awesome is leaving the company and is headed to WCW. Now the problem becomes, what the hell is going to happen with the ECW title? Remember, people have PTSD from Medusa showing up and dropping the title in the garbage can. So Awesome shows up on this Nitro. He does not show up. Now ECW had shows that weekend, the weekend of the 7th and the 8th. Awesome does not show up for those shows. Remember, he's not on the contract. He's getting paid per appearance, and he's not even getting paid because, again, it's Paul Heyman and money. So Awesome doesn't show those shows. There's a lot of panic going on. Heyman reaches out to Bischoff. Bischoff swears, and to Bischoff's credit, keeps his word, that Awesome will not show up with the title on TV, and he will make sure they mention that he is the ECW champion. So in reality, Bischoff is giving back a bit to Heyman for signing Awesome. Awesome shows up, attacks Kevin Nash. All the rumors and reports and speculation are accurate. That is April 10th. Apparently, that Wednesday, there was 2 phone calls. Apparently, there was a phone call with Heyman and Bischoff that Heyman needed Awesome to drop the title. Bischoff, nervous about the amount of heat that Awesome had, and rightfully so, was afraid that Awesome was going to get shot on. The match, whatever it would be, would turn into a shoot, and Bischoff was petrified that Awesome would be injured. Heyman apparently guarantees Bischoff that will not happen. But he needs Bischoff in Indianapolis that Thursday to drop the title. Or in Indiana, I should say. I'm sorry, to drop the title. Heyman tells Bischoff he's got an idea. He's not 100% sure it's going to happen. But either way, Awesome will drop the title. He'll be protected. They'll get him in. They'll get him out. Bischoff reluctantly agrees. Heyman gets off the phone with Bischoff. Heyman calls Vince McMahon and pushes the idea to Vince to have Taz, who was one of the cornerstones of ECW, show up in Indiana, beat Mike Awesome for the ECW title. Vince, with how much he hated WCW at the time, loved the idea. And the idea being that Taz would then work to get the title back to ECW full-time, but not appear for ECW full-time. Heyman and McMahon agree. Taz is on board. Taz agrees. We get to Indiana. And Mike Awesome, literally, the way the story goes, was literally sitting in a car the entire night until it was time for his segment. And he was brought in the back door, through the crowd to the ring, which is I guess it was the lesser of two evils, because if they would have brought him to the locker room, God knows what would have happened. That locker room was pretty intent on kicking Awesome's ass. So I guess common sense said a bunch of drunk Indiana college kids were safer than the excuse me, no COVID, the ECW locker room. So Awesome comes to the ring, cuts a quick promo, and then all of a sudden, this music hits. That's right. Taz of the WWF has shown up in Indiana for ECW to challenge the WCW superstar Mike Awesome. This was one of those things that in today's, I guess, wrestling society would be the equivalent of a WWE superstar showing up at Impact to battle an AEW superstar for the Impact World title. That's what this was the equivalent of at the time. So, Taz shows up. They have a very quick match. Tommy Dreamer gets involved, which will play a factor on multiple levels as this goes on. Now, it's said that Dreamer did stiff shot. He kicks Awesome and DDTs him, and it's said that Dreamer did stiff kick Awesome in the balls, to set up the DDT. Taz chokes out Awesome. Awesome taps almost immediately, rolls out of the ring, and is escorted through the crowd, out the back door, and into a waiting car to get him out of there. And that is the end of Mike Awesome as far as ECW goes. So now you've got Mike Awesome gone, and you've got Taz, a WWF superstar, as ECW champion. Strap in for about 10 days. It gets fun. WCW, for their part, does not really acknowledge that Awesome lost the title. They acknowledge that he was champion when he showed up and debuted and attacked Kevin Nash, but after that, he was just Mike Awesome, and to their credit, for the first couple of months, they pushed him hard to the moon. But again, no mention that he had dropped the ECW title. So as far as WCW goes, they paid the price that they had to pay to get the guy they wanted. Okay, fine, done. On the WWF side of things, though, there was a unique set of circumstances that really had never happened before. So now you've got Taz with the ECW title appearing on WWF TV and at house shows. I can honestly say I went to a house show at Madison Square Garden that Saturday. He won the title on a Thursday. I went to the Garden show that Saturday, and he had the title in his match. I believe he faced Eddie Guerrero, and he had the title. He didn't appear on Raw, but he appeared on SmackDown. And here's where anybody who says, yes, Vince will do you a favor, but trust me, Vince is going to get his, this is a prime example of it. On SmackDown, Triple H is cutting this promo about his upcoming match at Backlash with The Rock, and it was fresh off the announcement that Stone Cold Steve Austin would be in The Rock's corner at Backlash, and he's cutting this promo on The Rock, whatever that. And I mean, it made no sense. But Taz comes out and starts cutting this promo on Triple H about how he wants to fight him, this, that, and the other thing. And, of course, Triple H takes his shots at ECW. You know, ECW sucks. That little belt you got around your waist, whatever. But it was really weird in the sense that, I mean, Triple H was cutting his promo about The Rock, about the match at Backlash, and they just brought Taz out to cut this promo and challenge Triple H. This is Vince getting his. They do the match on SmackDown. Now, again, Tommy Dreamer shows up. This SmackDown was in Philly. Tommy Dreamer shows up. Costs Taz the match, kind of. Of course, Taz gets pedigreed. I think the match is barely 7 minutes, so that should tell you everything. And, of course, Vince has the image of Triple H with the WWF title standing over Taz. Okay, whatever. The Tommy Dreamer thing was supposed to tie in to that weekend at the ECW arena where he would be challenging Taz for the ECW title. The match happens. Dreamer defeats Taz for the title, which was to be expected. Taz was not going to have a long run with the ECW belt, especially considering, his WWF status. It was a way for Taz to do Paul Heyman and ECW a favor. Plus, he got to put over Tommy Dreamer, which I heard is something Taz may have asked for specifically. However, the story does not end there. Dreamer wins the title. Taz cuts a promo, an amazing promo putting Dreamer over. Dreamer cuts a promo. The whole locker room comes out. Even Raven, comes out. And just when you think Raven's going to turn on Dreamer, he shakes his hand, he hugs him. But out comes Just Incredible. Incredible canes the bejesus out of Dreamer. Lays out Raven and challenges Dreamer for the title. Dreamer, being Dreamer, accepts. Match goes on about 8 minutes. And just when it looks like Dreamer's about to retain, Francine turns on Dreamer. And Dreamer is laid out, and Just Incredible walks out of all of this craziness as ECW champion. And man, when I tell you this was a crazy, I want to say 2.5 weeks, it was. I mean, probably a little longer because, like I said, the news of Awesome leaving had leaked out. It was probably about 3.5 weeks of coverage and press and attention that Heyman would never have wanted for ECW. It was chaos, but you know what? He got his star out of it because Credible did become a star. He never got the money feud with Just Incredible that he would have had he been able to do Awesome RVD. That would have been the feud. RVD never carries the ECW title in the company. Credible has a decent run. And that's it. Awesome goes to WCW, and that's another show for another time. Taz is in WWF. That's another show for another time. And, the rest, as they say, is history. Next episode, we'll be looking at the true cluster of the main event and the ending of Starrcade 97. Again, I am your host, John JCD DiMaselli. Check me out on Twitter at JCDSINY1219. Thank you for listening, and we'll check you out next episode.